Good evening all. Hello everyone. This is Dr. Achal and I welcome you all in our subject module titled as Services Marketing. Earlier also we have discussed the concept of the prices and the pricing policies and the different kind of components that are being involved in the establishment of the pricing strategy for the service providers. And today's discussion will be dealing with another concept that is being related within a concept of what are the important steps which the service provider has to go in for towards establishment of the pricing decisions. So, with this we will be starting our today's discussion. Now, this slide says, moving to the slide says that what are the important steps which are being involved in the pricing decisions, and the very first step that has to be taken into consideration is regarding the cost factor and the expenses. That is understanding the cost and the expenses, and says that every subsequent pricing decision should ensure that these costs are covered to guarantee sustainability and profitability. The cost and the expenses factor, many times we have said that the direct cost or the indirect cost or the variable cost or the semi-variable cost, they are being incurred in the manufacturing of the services also, they are duly being incurred in the manufacturing of the physical commodities. Here we are limiting our discussion towards the arena of the services. So, even if the production is being happening, which is basically the production of the intangible offerings, the production of the variable offerings, the production of the perishable offerings, even then those deeds, those associations, those efforts which are being channelized by the service providers, they are basically involve certain kind of cost. So, it is a duty for an effective and an agile marketer that these kind of costs which are in the form of the fixed one, which are in the form of the variable and the semi-variable cost should be incurred by them in the initial stage. Earlier also we have said that during discussion of the concept of the product life cycle for the services, we have said that in the initial years when the product is being launched, when the services are being launched, in the initial stage when the services are being introductory phase, they are going in for the introductory phase, it is not possible for the service provider to recoup all these costs. Sometimes they are incurring the losses also. So, here with the involvement and with the growing passage of time, when the services and when the product moves in for the next stages, that is the growing phase and the maturity phase, the business organization, the service providers, they are in the position to reap out the gains, because here the market acceptability is being maintained, promotional expenses are being incurred, and here the customers resistance to change and is being vanished enough. So, then we can say that in the growing and the maturity phase, the product or the new product or the product in the stages of the product life cycle, the new product tries to gain into a profitable way. So, understanding of the cost and expenses very important factor, because all our efforts are being related and they are being associated to make out the profitable and the surplus gains. So, definitely the different kind of cost elements has to be understood, it has to be explored and reduced also, and we have to just calculate that what are the important gestation period, what is an important duration of time that is being involved, and after that gestation period when we will be able to recoup out over these kind of cost, and that will be in the terms of the benefit factor. So, this kind of analysis should be made, that can be done in any of the form. We can go in for the maintenance of the target rate of return, we can either go in for the using out this technique of cash flow analysis, or discounted cash flow technique can also be used. Any kind of statistical technique can be used for the purpose of making out an effective and accurate prediction. Now, the next step is researching the market and the competitors, which says that here we have to compare the quality, the features, the overall value offered by the competitors, and ensuring that the services offered by the offer provide customers with new experiences. Now, researching the market and the competitors, it is one of the next step to go in for, because surveying and exploring the market area which is very much being competitive enough, exploration of the competitive scenario, exploration of the market in terms of the changing customer needs, exploration of the market in view of the changing competitive element, exploration of the market area with regard to the different factors which is being given by your different stakeholders, who are in the form of the competitors, who are in the form of the government agencies. There may be a certain situation wherein you are getting certain kind of feedbacks and the improvements. So, all these kind of market exploration, the variables which are affecting and which are giving you a certain kind of suggestions and improvements to make in for should be welcomed by you as a service provider, and you have to compare the features, your important benefits that your core offering is trying to propose and dispose of to your target audience. Then only you will be able to chalk it out and to figure it out that what are the important variables, what are the important benefits, what are the important values that you are trying to dispose of to your target audience, which is very much being unique enough, which is very much being distinct enough as compared to the values and the offerings which your other competitors are trying to give in the market area. And that uniqueness, that distinct advantage will be creating a unique value proposition for your offering, and those unique value proposition will be cherished by the customers, by the consumers, and that cherishment, that delightment factor which they have, which they are trying to generate in for, which they are trying to assimilate in for, will be helping them to develop out a loyalty factor, and that will be creating an enriching experience to go in for with the purchase and the consumption of the same offering again of your same brand. So this is a second step, that is the exploration of the market area and the competitors, what the competitors' strategy are pursuing in the market area. Now moving the next step, this step says that the third step says that you have to determine your pricing objectives. The pricing should ultimately align with the broader business strategy and should be a tool to achieve those objectives. Many times we have said that there can be a different kind of objectives which can be pursued by different establishment, by different service providers or the different organization. Primarily the objective are basically the survival objective, the growth objective, the objective of making out a dominant share in the market area, the objective of reaping out the profitable gains, maximization of the sales volume. The objective may be in terms of capturing a larger market share area, or occupying a lion's share in the market area, or it may be so happen that you are just being termed as a unique organization, a service provider which is giving you a very unique kind of proposition to your target audience. There can be different kind of objectives. So all these objectives, that is the objective of the survival, growth, prosperity, acting as a dominant leader, terming yourself as a creative leader, trying to make innovations in the field of the offering that you are trying to go in for. So this is the objective. You have to just like in the third step, you have to determine your own objective, because every organization, they are just trying to formulate out the corporate objectives, keeping into view their mission and the vision. So within the parameters of the vision and the mission, we are defining out the corporate objectives, and then all our efforts are being channelized towards fulfillment of those corporate objectives. And the different kind of levels of the management, the different kinds of the organizational hierarchy and the structure that we are witnessing in our establishment, they are also in aligned with meeting out the corporate objectives which you have defined. And we know that the establishment of the pricing objective, which is being taken care of by the intermediate level of the managers, because intermediate level of the managers, they are acting as one of the department area, they are trying to take care of the one of the department area, and this area is in the form of the marketing department, or the marketing stream. Because we know that every establishment, they have 4 functional areas to talk of. We can have a production manager, we can have a finance manager, marketing manager, and R&D development manager. So here the marketing manager, who is being said as acting as an intermediate manager, acting as a middle manager between the top level and between the executive level, that is the supervisory level. Here the departmental heads, they are just trying to take care of the needs of the top level of management. Similarly, they are the intermediate and the linking pin towards making out the execution of the planned objectives that they have formulated at their own departmental heads, at their own units, at their own sections, and these are being formulated, they are being implemented by the supervisory levels, by the operative levels, which is being held at the bottom level of the management. So this says that the pricing objectives should be in acting as a tool towards meeting out the objectives of your corporate organization. The next step, that is the fourth step, says that you have to analyze the customer's perceptions and the preferences. The customer's preferences and the perception of the services is essential. It is needed to understand the customers and what they value. Do some market research, maybe a survey of 2, and understand the perception regarding the services that is being offered. Definitely perception is one of the psychological variable that has to be understood by the marketers, and we know that each and every customer and the consumer, they are unique in nature. So what we can do, earlier also we have said that we have to segment out the heterogeneous market area into some common grouping. Now these psychographic features, these psychological variables which are in the form of the motivation, perception, learning, attitude, personality, they all has to be understood. We as a service provider, we as a marketer, we have to just not only explore, we have to just understand, we have to comprehend the hidden variables which are basically very complicated to talk of. We have to understand that what are the important psychographic features, what are their ideas, beliefs and attitudes which our target audience are holding in their mind, and how they are influencing their purchase decision, because all our efforts as a service provider, they are being crafted, they are being meted towards meeting out those needs, those expectations which the target audience are holding from your value, from your offering which you are trying to propose in the market area. So analyzing the customer's preferences and the perception is very essential, because all our objectives are being treated towards meeting out their own expectations, and sometimes we are seeing that we are treating the customers as a kingpin. So here before we can also say that, in other words, like we can say that in the customer orientation philosophy which we have discussed in our previous discourse, we have said that in the customer orientation philosophy of the marketing orientation, it says that the customer occupies as a kingpin, and here before undergoing any kind of production process, here we have to explore out the customers, we have to undertake and we have to go in for the customer testing. That is, the market is being tested, the market is being explored, keeping in view the different kind of changes which the customers are trying to give in for, or the different suggestions, different improvements, different expectations which the customers are expecting from you as a service provider, from you as a market. That has to be explored, that has to be researched upon. And after extensive and exhaustive research, you have to produce out your offerings, you have to customize of your offerings in the same consonance, in the same direction. Now, customization and personalization is very important, is very imperative in the service marketing decisional areas, and that is to be taken into account by the each and every service provider. So, this customer expectations, the customer's preferences and the customer's perception, a very important factor before going for the production of the services. Now, moving to the next slide, this slide says that here the fifth step, it is all being associated with an experiment and making tests different at price points, and says that the present different prices to a sample of the target market and analyze their purchasing behavior, try out different price points and see how the customers react. Sometimes a small change can make a big difference. That is, presenting the different prices to a sample of the target market and analyzing their purchase behavior, trying out the different price points and seeing out that how the customers are reacting. Now, experimenting and test different price points. Now, this is a factor which says that here, as a service provider, as a marketer, sometimes we have to come out with a unique kind of approach in terms of making certain kind of differentiation, or certain kind of differential pricing policies can also be analyzed, it can also be pursued by the marketer, wherein we are charging and we are giving them a certain differentiating pricing policy to a selected chosen target segment, and here we are trying to measure and analyze the different responses and the feedbacks of these kind of chosen area of the customer. That what is their response, how they are responding out with the different kind of price changes that are given to them. Now, their response can be generalized to a greater market area, and that response will be serving you as an objective wherein you can be able to generalize its findings, and that those findings will be good enough to make any kind of prediction which is accurate enough in the whole market area. So, here sometimes this kind of policy can also be pursued wherein we are making certain kind of differential pricing strategy. The differential pricing strategy may be in terms of making certain kind of slight changes in the original pricing strategy, original pricing structure being proposed by you. A slight changes in the form of offering you certain discounts to the target audience, a slight changes in the form of charging some extra rupee, some extra premium price with the selected chosen target area, and evaluating out their response, that whether they are good enough with the things, whether they are satisfied enough, whether they are delighted enough, or whether there is any kind of cognitions or cognitive dissonance that is going on in their mind, because both aspects can happen. Either the customers may be satisfied enough with the slight change, the change may be in the form of the enhancement in the price, or the change may be in the form of the reduction in the original price which is being proposed by you. So both the aspects, in both the situations, whether the customers are delighted enough, whether the customers are, it may so happen that the customer are having a feel of the cognitive dissonance. So this cognitive dissonance, which is all being related within a frustration, which is all being related within a negative defamation, this kind of feeling, this kind of situation should be avoided enough. The customers and the consumers at any point of time, they may not be having a feeling of the cognitive dissonance, because that will be ultimately leading towards tarnishing out the image of your offering, toward the image of your brand area, and then you have to come out with a proper solution. So this kind of response and their motivation, their perception has to be looked in for before making any kind of price changes. And even if you are trying to make the slight kind of changes, that should be done only on a limited kind of chosen market area. The next step, this says that we have to monitor and we have to adapt. The monitoring and adaptation is being done. The point says that the pricing isn't static, it is moving a target, it is moving target. The market conditions change, the cost might fluctuate, the consumer preferences evolve. Regularly review and adjust the pricing strategy. Monitor and adaptation. We know that we are evolving, we are growing, we are surviving, we are growing, and we are transforming at each and every phase of our life, at each and every phase of our market area. If we are operating our transaction, if we are doing out our transaction, definitely we are surviving in this dynamic scenario. So keeping in view this dynamicity, we cannot say that the price which is being talked of as one of the important sensitive element being having a capability to generate revenue, they will remain static. That is not the case. That should not happen also. So keeping into consideration the different other P's which are in the form of the product, place, promotion, people, process, and physical evidence, the pricing strategy, they do involve certain kind of changes that cannot happen, or we cannot say that the pricing strategy will remain same for the years and years to come. That cannot happen. That cannot definitely, that is not imperative enough to going for. So what we can do is that, as a very agile and effective marketer, we will be trying to make certain kind of changes that is good enough from the customer's point of view, that is good enough from the competitor's point of view, and that is also in consonance with meeting out the expectations of the society at large. So we have to monitor out the prices. As a marketer, we have to just ensure that there should be a certain control mechanism, or we are just trying to monitor out the different kind of changes that are happening in the environment, and how these changes, which are in the form of the controllable variables or which are in the form of the uncontrollable variables, they are affecting your pricing decisions that is being pursued by you in your establishment. Because earlier also in our previous discourse we have said that there are certain kind of changes which are internal in nature, over whom we are having certain kind of control, and they are affecting out the establishment of the pricing decisions in your organization. Similarly, there are certain kind of variables which are exerting and they are operating in the external environment, and over whom we are not having any kind of control over it. But equally they are having a certain kind of influence before or towards the establishment of the pricing decisions in your area. So equally they are playing out an important role, and we as an effective marketer, we have to just foresee, we have to make certain kind of predictions between different kind of elements which are changing, which are hovering in this competitive scenario, and how these kind of changes and these kind of variables which are having a certain kind of influence, how they can be turned out, they can be transformed out in a very favorable zone, and that profitable or favorability part can be encashed by us in a very good way. So that monitoring mechanism, that kind of analysis, that kind of logical deductions should be pursued by the marketer. Now here it says that the market conditions change and the cost might fluctuate, the consumer preferences evolve, regularly review and adjust the pricing strategy. Like we can take an example, suppose there is one of the external variable which is in the form of the economic conditions. So we know that the economic conditions, it is one of the factor which is beyond the control of your organization, and we are not having any kind of control of it. So if the economy is facing out the recessionary condition, we are not having any kind of control, but we are experiencing certain kind of features which are in the form of the inadequate demand, the production is also not having, it's not very good enough, the unemployment factor is getting increased. So if the economy is being characterized by all these kind of changes, so what we can do is that we can be able to slightly decrease out the prices of our offering, then only the production can be smoothened out, and there will be an adequate demand, because already the people who are residing in the society, they are their discretionary income and their disposable income is very much being meager enough. So definitely they will not be able to demand out the offerings we are trying to dispose in the market area. So as in a good pursuing out of the good marketing strategy, you as in a marketer, you have to just slash down the prices of your offering, then only there can be, you will be able to find out a situation wherein there will be an adequacy of your offering, and the product will be absorbed to a greater, not to a greater extent, but we can say that to a good amount as compared to the as compared to the earlier discourse. On the contrary, if we are experiencing that the economy is in a very good zone, it is showing out in a rosy picture, not a bleaker prospect to talk of. It is having a prosperity, the boom period is there. Definitely the production is very much expanding in nature, there is an adequate demand, and all these important considerations are very much being favorable enough from our economic point of view. So keeping in consonance these kind of important characteristics, we as a marketer, we can just be able to sense out those kind of changes, and we can be able to make a slight increase in the prices of your commodities. And definitely if there is a slight increase in the prices of your offerings, we have to review those kind of increase. We have to review the responses of the target audience over whom we have made out these kind of changes. And after the review, after taking these kind of responses, we have to measure out the quantum and the efficacy of these kind of changes, and then definitely the adaptation factor can be done accordingly in your pricing decisional areas. So this is the monitoring and adaptation, which also says that we as an effective and agile marketer, we have to constantly monitor the different price changes, and these price changes, how they are affecting out the consumer preferences, how the customers are expecting from you as a service provider, what the customers are expecting from the competitors, whether they are shifting out their purchase decision to the brands and the alternative offerings which the competitors are floating on the market area, or whether there is any kind of shortfalls and the pitfalls which are being seen in your establishment of the pricing strategies, and whether there is any kind of change that can be done for the purpose of getting rid of that particular kind of shortfalls and the pitfalls that you are expecting. So monitoring and adaptation mechanism should be there, and this is an last step that can be seen and that can be pursued by the effective marketer before establishment of the pricing decisions by their offering. So I hope that by this you have understood the concept of the which is being involved, the different concepts and the different steps which are being involved in the establishment of the pricing decisional areas by the service providers. So with this we have discussed 6 of these steps, and we are winding up this session with this only. I hope you have understood. So till then, stay safe and stay blessed. Thank you all for joining.